Welcome to the bathtub. It is I, the old masturbator. And as soon as she hears me talk to you, she's totally quiet. Dodo starts to chirp. She wants to know she's here. She's with us. Lucky is here. You can see Lucky. And they've been on good behavior. This is the third new shirt episode. This is a new shirt. Looking stylish. And this is the third episode we've done in the past half hour. And I made it through both of them. I don't know if she'll let us do it this time, but we're going to try. So this is the Pringles of literature. This is the Pringles of Booktubing. You never knew you wanted it before, but it's called Vintage Paperback SF Hodgepodge. And it's a lot of people said I never needed a vintage SF Paperback Hodgepodge, but now that I've had one, I have to keep having more of them. I just have to get more of these. They're just too good for you. They're too good to be good for you. That's all I can tell you. They're totally useless. Pure mountain water. You see the angelic glow I get from the light? We're entering a whole beatific period in here. Look at that. It's not just a Raphael glow. It's like, see the sun, my light coming down. This is Raphael. Okay, we're going to do a bunch of writers. We're also going to add a new segment to this. We sort of added it in the last one, which is it's the Elimination Round. I'm getting old. I just turned 70. I'm not going to be able to read all these damn books. And the problem is, even if I could read them all, I want to reread half of them at least, or maybe not. I have to say I want to read every book I have here. I want to reread. So I've got to start limiting these books. And so what we're doing here is the vintage SF is really the most just comfort food I do. I just read this stuff from basically the 70s, which is when I read a lot of SF. And at that time, I wanted to read 1,000,000 books. And I only read a few hundred of them. And now I'm trying to go back and reread everything I had never read and things I did read. And I got too many books. So I'm going to eliminate some writers, even very good writers in this. I'm going to start getting rid of books, okay? Let me see. The first writer, who should we talk about? We've talked about him before, but let's do Ron Goulart. Ron Goulart. Ron Goulart. This is called Wildsmith. What Does One Do with a Willful Robot? And it's from 1972. And many of us like Ron Goulart. He's kind of this, he wrote hundreds of books. And like Seminon, a very different writer, he's technically on the page every minute. Every paragraph, every chapter, beginning to end, he knows how to put things together. And you can almost read him just to learn the basic nuts and bolts of putting together good comic narrative prose. And he's pretty funny. This one is a pretty funny book. It's one of the funniest ones I've read. It's about a company that creates a robot to write novels. which the joke is, of course, is that a lot of books at that, particularly in the 70s, sound like they were written by robots anyway. And the guy who's central character in this is a guy who's running around town with his robot named. Was it Tom? No, Tom Miley's the writer, isn't he? I forget who it is now. Wildsmith. Wildsmith is the robot. And he's written some new book. I can't remember the title of it, but he writes lots of novels. And he goes around on this PR tour with a guy named Tom Miley. Tom Miley's his PR agent. And they go through the crazy world of robots running TV stations and so forth. Anyway, the whole book is fun. And you can read it basically in an hour and a half. And I liked it. So it's also had, I just have a note here, it had 1,000,000, it seemed like every paragraph had a misprint. I've never seen a book, something about Ace at that time was having a bad time printing their books. What if I want to read to you? A quick passage? Okay, here's a writer who's getting their letters. What should I read? I'm just going to read you the opening paragraph, just to give you a sense of it. Because it moves so quick. It's just episodic. Page 5. He stepped on the tiny screws with his bare left foot while running to catch the buzzing phone. "That nitwit," said Tom Miley. "He's gone back to dismantling himself." He clicked on the Pix phone. "Hello?" His ex-wife's face showed up on the small, rectangular screen. "We're not married anymore," she said. Tom was frowning back at one of the little flesh-colored screws that lay on the crimson thermal rug. I know that, Mary Alice, but it's nice of you to call up and remind me. What I mean is, I wish you wouldn't answer the phone while naked. You see how quickly you get so many things happening in 3 paragraphs, said Mary Alice, tilting her head and squinting slightly. What's that, Tom? Do you have an erection? Well, I suppose that's flattering in a gross sort of way. So you've basically got within 4 paragraphs, you've got the central character. He's divorced. He still has feelings for his ex-wife, and the robot, this crazy robot he's taking care of, has taken off his hands. I think he's put him in the mailer. He goes crazy. He drinks. He's an alcoholic, by the way. He's an alcoholic robot. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. I also said to myself, by the time I finished it, I have a shelf of Ron Goulart books, and I'm gonna have to sell some. I know I'll probably read a Ron Goulart novel every year or two, or maybe 2 a year. I don't know. I've still got more than last me till I'm 100. So I'm gonna get rid of a lot of these. But I'm sure I read this one, Gadget Man. And I'm going to keep that one because that was one of my favorites. Okay, so that's the first one. Second one, this is a book I had on my shelf since I was a kid called Cities in Flight. It's one of these things is it 4 novels in one of these cool old Avon editions? The title tells it all. It's basically sometime in the future. The future is like 2020, I think, where the human race puts rockets on the big cities like Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and shoots them off in outer space, and they go out there. It's an interesting kind of industrial working class novel. All the characters in it are kind of industrial working class people, and they go off into space to mine asteroids and build, I don't know, sedans or whatever they're building, or tools or something. Anyway, Dodo, you've been very good. Let's not push it. Anyway, I'd read the first novel, I think when we first moved here 10 years ago. I'd always wanted to read it. It has a very good reputation. Blish is considered one of the more intelligent novelists of that period. He was also very well liked as a critic. And as a person, I think most people seem to really like him. I liked it. I just got kind of bored. In fact, I don't even know if I finished the second novel, which is about how they send some spaceship out, some planet, some city off into space. And I'm going to get rid of the James Blish. I had him on my shelves for years. Here's his most famous one, Case of Conscience. I'm going to put all these on eBay. And Midsummer Century, which I picked up recently. I kind of like to keep that just because I like the old dog books, but I just don't have room for it. Okay, so this is what's called, this is the... what is it called? It's the Elimination Round. There's another book I have in here. And where the heck is that? This show is just... Oh, here it is. Okay, I never really read him. I read a little bit of him when I was a kid, and I'd always heard good things about him. And I read something we moved here. Fred Saberhagen. He's best known for the Berserker series. He wrote a lot of stories. Berserkers are these robots that go off in space and just destroy things. The idea has been used by lots of people since him, but he sort of pioneered that idea and wrote a lot of novels. Anyway, I read the book of Saberhagen. I like these old dog collections. I read this 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and I don't remember any of the stories. I liked them. I don't remember anything about them. Okay, so I've got a whole shelf of Saberhagen. Here's his most... I think these are his best known books. Let me see here. I don't think I can reach it. Oh, yeah, I can. Let me just... we really need to do a better job of putting this show together. We've got to do some preparation, I think, one of these days. This is called Empire of the East. I think it's a post-apocalyptic novel where there's, it's been done a bunch of times. And a lot of people really like this. I read it and sort of enjoyed it. I don't remember anything about it. I've never heard this one... Vales of Azla-Rock. I was tempted to kind of keep this in the sequels to it, but I think they're going to have to go. I'm not trying to say anything bad. These are all good writers, but we just can't do all the good writers. Okay, final. Is that the last one? The final one is a lot of Jack Vance. When I was reading all these other books, I enjoyed them, and then I always go back to Jack Vance. I read this book called The Narrow Land, which is it's a DAW paperback. Dodo, you're going to have to be quiet, kid. A DAW paperback from 1982 of a lot of his oldest stories. And they're all good. Even the schlockiest. I then went on and read another of his, The Five Gold Bands, which is a 150-page book from 1950. He looks like he writes them about a week or two, but they're really well written. This was I remember most vividly. It's about all his characters are kind of shyster con men traveling the universe, and his con man in this is an Irish guy who's named Paddy Blackthorne, and somehow he's robbing some spaceship, and he gets caught by the 5 lords of the universe or whoever they are, and there's a whole picture of this futuristic universe where Earth people have gone out, colonized places, and been transformed by these new environments, and then come back more powerful than normal Earthlings. He's super far future. Big influence on Gene Wolfe, everyone says. Much better. I think he's a lot better. Anyway, I remember reading him as a kid and really enjoying him, but never thinking he was that good. And reading him now, it's really, as far as a guilty pleasure, you can't do much worse than that. That reminds me, 2 last things. I won't read you a passage from that, but I will keep saying, again, even his oldest, earliest stuff. I read his autobiography. Let me see if I can remember I've got it here. I have 2 things to say about him that I read that I thought were interesting. One was his autobiography. Okay, I don't have it on this Kindle, but it's available on Kindle for Kindle. You can buy it. And the Kindle copy, what the heck is it called? It Is I think it's something called like It Is I, Jack Vance or whatever. Anyway, I can't find it at the moment. But it was fun. It was a very peculiar book because he wrote let me see, I'm going to find this. And I swear, one of these days we're actually going to prepare. Oh, here it is. Okay. This is me, Jack Vance, or more properly, This Is I, the autobiography of Jack Vance. It's on Kindle. It's available from Spatterlight Press. You can try not to buy it from Kindle. I didn't. I think I bought it from ebooks. I can't remember now. Anyway, it was published in hard copy by a very interesting small press called Subterranean Press. I've never really read a lot of their books like I have of some of these other small publishers, but they're very good. They have a lot of very good lists, and they've been around quite a long time. And the autobiography is interesting. He was born and raised in my hometown of San Francisco. Dodo, we don't want to strangle you. Doesn't make good for good YouTubing. And his life was quite adventurous. He came from a very well-off family, and he was in the military. He traveled all over the world. He was in the Merchant Marines. And what was interesting about the book is I read it because I really wanted to hear about how he wrote and what he thought about what he wrote. He almost never mentions writing the entire book. At one point he'll say, and then that month I wrote The Dragon Masters, period, and that'd be it. And at the very end, he says, my publishers have told me I should tell you guys a little bit about what I like to write and read. Has some great, cool photographs in here, this old guy. He lived in the Bay Area for a lot of his life. I told you I went to his house. I went to his houseboat once to pick up my friend Adam Davidson, and that's the closest I ever came to meeting him. At the very end of the book, he says, my publishers have told me I really should say something about my own work. He also wrote Captain Video. What a fascinating guy. Anyway, can I find it? Okay, yeah, he has a very small passage here. C.L. Moore, he's a big fan of C.L. Moore and Clark Ashton Smith and Baum's Oz books. Those are all writers who I love, and I didn't really love Smith or Moore until really, really late in life, but grew up loving Oz, and you can see all of their influence on him. But he's a much more narrative, but he's just a narrative snappy guy. He's just a terrific, fun writer. And then the other thing I wanted to say before I shut up is that, so I did look into Subterranean books. And I think the reason this happens is that sometimes these books come down as documents. And we're always trying to buy books away from Amazon. Subterranean Press has, I think, 4 volumes. Here's one of them. Let me get to the character. I'm going to show you the cover. One of them is called Hard Luck Diggings, Early Jack Vance, edited by Terry Dowling and Jonathan Strahan. And I think they have 4 or 5 of these early volumes. They're only $6.99. You can buy them direct from Subterranean Press. So just go to the website. You can buy them, then you download them, and they're pretty. If you know how to put them on your Kindle or your Kobo, whatever, it's easy to put on the Kindle. And this is kind of a cool book. It actually has introductions and little bits of information. It has a lot more information in it about his writing than his whole autobiography did. Anyway, I mean, Hard Luck Diggings is worth having, and I haven't read all of these yet, but I've read several of them, mainly the ones in these other collections. Okay, I'm going to be getting rid of all those. I actually went out and bought a few more Jack Vance books online, which I haven't read, particularly his late work, which everyone says is quite good, and has a lot to do with his reputation became a lot more serious near the end of his life. All of his stuff I've read is good. Okay, that's the best part of it. Jack Vance, all the other writers are wonderful. Ron Goulart, Fred Saberhagen, James Blish. But I'm going to make I'm making some changes around here. And Dodo, if you don't shut up, you may be going with them. Okay.